I was super shy, just like most engineers. I was really hesitant to speak up for myself. I didn't really like making presentations. But I had a mentor at my job who always encouraged me to speak. So he would stop meetings and say, Roshawnna has a brilliant idea.
Hi, this is Paul Rosenberg. Welcome to another Innovator and Influencer series as a part of the Rogue Leadership channel. Happy to have you with us today. As always, we're going to have great conversations with people who are literally transforming our world. And today we're delighted to welcome Dr. Roshawnna Novellus. Her background is so extensive that I'm going to have to look down and make sure I get everything, but just an amazing background, and she's doing wonderful things in terms of economic empowerment and inclusion. So Dr. Novellus is the founder and CEO of EnrichHER, which is a debt investment platform that connects female entrepreneurs with investors to help fuel that growth. She's a gender equality advocate. We're going to talk a lot about her view of inclusive economic growth and what that means. She has a PhD, and here comes the long part, PhD in systems engineering with a minor in finance, a master's of science in information technology. She also has a Bachelor of Arts in Business Management Economics and a Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering, all summa cum laude. Amazing. She serves on the Commission on Women for the City of Atlanta. She's been named in Georgia, the top 40 under 40, one of the top disruptors and innovators in tech in the United States. So please give a warm Rogue Leadership Channel welcome to Dr. Novellus. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I know that bio is kind of long.
But you earned it, so good on you. So today I'd like to have a conversation with you about the work you're doing, but I want to first of all ask you a question and go back in time. Obviously, you're the CEO of EnrichHER. We want to talk about that work, but what fork in the road, or what was it, a moment, or was it a series of events that kind of led you to put your focus and energy and talents into this really important space, which is inclusive empowerment, making sure that women entrepreneurs get access to capital and kind of opening up the doors for them? What was it that sparked this idea and your passion?
So I would say it's a series of events. So when I was 12 years old, my mother told me that all women need to be in charge of their own economic footprint. And so that stayed in my mind ever since then. So she was a high school teacher and she attended investment club meetings. And at the age of 12, she started taking me with her to these investment club meetings so I would be familiar with finance. And then later, when I turned 15, I told her, hey, mom, I have this whole plan for paying for all of my college dreams. So at that point, I wrote letters to over 200 organizations telling them why I was amazing, why they should support me. And through this campaign that I run, I raised over $600,000 that paid for all of those degrees that you mentioned. So fast forward a long time. So I was in DC focusing on counterterrorism work and realized that most people around me didn't understand finances, nor did they feel comfortable going out and running their own businesses. So I decided, hey, I'm going to use my skill sets, my knowledge of finance, my knowledge of how you aggregate capital to help others live a life in alignment with their goals.
What an amazing story, inspirational, and I wish I was friends with you when I was getting ready to go to college. Where were you? Um, let's talk a little bit about EnrichHER, this platform, and I'd ask you to kind of go into some detail about how the model works, and then I want to talk a little bit about what your results have been.
Yes, so I specifically started EnrichHER, which is a platform that connects founders with investors who believe in sustainable growth for women-led businesses. Because of all the statistics in the US that state that less than 2% of all capital go to women-led businesses, although women-led businesses are the highest growth sector for business in the US. In fact, we start over 1,800 new businesses every day. There's all these statistics that say if a woman is in the C-suite of a business, the business is more likely to be successful, yet the capital isn't flowing this way. So I said, hey, why don't I build this platform? So our platform is an SEC FINRA approved platform. And what this means is that accredited and non-accredited investors can lend to these women on our platform. This is huge because we're the first platform that focuses on women that's ever been approved by the SEC and FINRA. And this really opens up investment opportunities to everyday people who want to invest in these women. On the founder side, we have the ability for people to raise capital no matter what industry they're in. So there are other financing platforms that exist, but most of them either focus on donation-based financing, which really only works if there's a cause, or equity-based financing, which only works if they're a high-growth company. But we really focus on everyday companies, which make up 99% of all businesses. So we help companies in IT services, event planning, product-based like dog treats get funding for our platform. So we were able to successfully launch in February of this year. We've received 3,000 applications from women-led businesses across 47 states. So we're really excited about that. And we funded our first 70 businesses already.
Wow, that's just amazing, amazing work. So, I'm sure our viewers are interested. What kind of obstacles did you overcome to get this thing started? And what's been the response of the business community at large?
There are so many obstacles. First of all, again, we're the first platform to be approved to do this. So most people, when I told them this was idea, they just thought it was impossible. They're like, you're not from investment banking, you're not from Wall Street. Like, how are you going to get through this SEC FINRA process? And I said, well, I can get through any test. I just think of it as a test. So I'm good at school, so I'm going to use the same, process that I would use to get all my good grades in school to go through this legal hurdle. So that was the big thing. No one believed that we could do this because a lot of people have tried and failed. Secondly is just getting people to understand why we're doing this. A lot of people feel like if a woman starts a business, it has to be a nonprofit, or that's the main thing, or a woman can't lead a successful company, where the data, refutes that time and time again, but there's just a lot of bias out there. And on the other side, we've been getting like tons of support. We've been profiled in Forbes and Fast Company. We're winning competitions across the country, from the Women's Venture Summit in San Diego to the SoGal pitch competition in Charlotte. So in terms of the academic community, we were a keynote speaker at a equity and entrepreneurship conference at Duke University. So the academic community loves what we're doing. The press loves what we're doing. And so we're just trying to build and reach our next milestone of helping 10,000 women grow.
So is that the goal, the 10,000, or is it beyond that? Is that the
Beyond
first
that, so
step?
that's the next goal, is 10,000 people through our pipeline, but the vision is much bigger. 100,000 is even bigger. That's like the ultimate goal for medium term. And so we're just excited that we've been able to get all of this traction and support since we launched in February, couple months ago. And so we know that we have what it takes to build this company to really disrupt what's happening in the US with financing.
Exciting times indeed, and I'm sure you're gonna get there. I have no doubt about it. A question for you, and this is on I guess a bigger issue. There's a lot of talk about gender equality and diversity, and one of my colleagues is a big advocate in the space of getting more women into the boardroom. So that's kind of her take on it. what's the reality out there? Are you getting a lot of lip service, or are you seeing, I know it's slow, some changes in that regard in terms of women in the boardroom, more women CEOs? What's your take on that?
So it's mostly lip service, but there are advocates who want there to be a change. So I'll tell you about my story. So clearly, I excel quickly in both my academic environments and corporate environments. So in the corporate world, I was the youngest manager that was a woman out of 3,000 employees at my consulting firm. And I was super shy, just like most engineers. I was really hesitant to speak up for myself. I didn't really like making presentations. But I had a mentor at my job who always encouraged me to speak. So he would stop meetings and say, Roshawnna has a brilliant idea. And this is without us talking about it first or anything. He just knew all the time that I had a brilliant idea. Then the whole meeting would shift to me, and then I would say my idea off the top of my head. And over time, everyone else started understanding that I had a contribution, but I was the only woman in all these meetings, and I was the youngest person there. And then I was promoted time and time again, mainly because he decided, hey, I'm going to make a way for Roshawnna to have a voice in this company. But he took this interest in me, and a lot of times it's a case by case to say, hey, no, she's not just invited to this meeting, but I'm going to make this person feel more comfortable, feel like their voice is heard, and act on it. And so because of this, now, I'm super comfortable with all my ideas. I'm running my own business, but it took someone to say, hey, no, you belong here. In fact, you have all these great ideas. So let your ideas shine in the group.
What a great story. So
Yeah.
for the youngsters watching out there, you millennials, I know you're listening. What advice would you have for them in terms of the power of mentorship and anything else they can do to help open up doors for them? Because I know I have a lot of millennial colleagues, and there's a struggle there sometimes in terms of how to fill that space. Some of them are doing it boldly, others are afraid. So what advice would you give to them, having kind of been through a similar situation where you were you thought you were a tiny voice in this sea of men and old men?
Right.
How
Yeah.
do they get their voice heard?
Yeah, my strategy was to develop a relationship with all senior people at every organization. So the most powerful people, the people had the clout. So for this, my consulting firm, I made sure I befriended the CEO of the company. I befriended the program managers that I thought were like-minded. And I befriended them before they could really do anything for me. I just wanted them to know who I was, what my dreams are, and I just, and so that when I needed them in the future, they already knew who I was and already had a connection with me. And this works no matter what you're doing with, say you're in entrepreneurship and you want, investment capital. If you build a relationship with investors or support organizations, they're more likely to help you when you need them. So it's always like building relationship, asking people for input or advice before you need to have a transactional occurrence, essentially.
Okay, thanks so much for that. It's very clear. Talk a little bit about the impact beyond, and let's just take a typical loan or capital. A CEO goes through your platform, she gets funding or she gets a line of credit, she gets that financing that she needs. What goes beyond it? What impact have you seen beyond just the access to capital in terms of the growth of your partners and the impact on the community?
Yeah, so the impact reaches with the organization and beyond. So our first customer, she was able to get of financing on our platform. She used this financing to hire a new employee and train this new employee to be ready for this contract, this corporate bid. She was able to close a new $500,000 contract based on hiring this new employee, and it enabled her business to grow by 30% just from this capital inflection. So she was able to grow, she was able to provide new jobs, all of this from having this capital and having a better say on how she could structure her company and prepare for additional contractors or contracts. And then within the community, more people feel confident knowing that there are options for them. And so a lot of people either join our network, which we have a network called EnrichHER Society. That's for all entrepreneurs, because they want to be around other successful, like-minded women, even if they don't want capital. So we've been able to build an ecosystem that people can interact with one another, leverage each other's skills and talents, and that really percolates out globally. So we've been able to engage 19,000 people so far through our network who are advocates of what we're doing, and that shows impact in every way in the community.
Great. A couple more questions, and I'll let you go because I know you're busy. You kind of touched on this when you told the story about you going with your mom to investment class, but I'd like to go a little bit more in time. I ask everybody this just because I'm interested in it. What did you want to be when you were like 6 or 7, 8 years old? Like, what was the dream, and how does that relate to what you're doing today?
So I wanted to be an Imagineer, so to create roller coasters at Disneyland. So clearly I always knew I loved math and was technical. And originally in college, I studied mechanical engineering to go in that path. And I realized, hey, computer engineering was a better fit, but I knew what I wanted from a really, really young age.
That's great. 2 more questions for you. If you were to say something to the leaders out there, in terms of what you think it takes to be a transformative leader, to have the impact like you're having, what would you tell them?
Tell more people how to do what you did, because that connectivity is the only way that others can flow through that pipeline. So we need more of that. Mm-hmm.
Very clear and powerful. So before we let you go, can you let people know how they can get a hold of you, where they can get in touch with you, and find out more about the wonderful work you're doing?
Yes, so anyone out there can go to our website at EnrichHER.com, EnrichHER.com. So whether you're a founder or funder, you can go there and find out more. You can also follow us on social at EnrichHER on all platforms.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Novellus, for spending some time with us today. Make sure you leave your comments down below and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And again, we're very grateful to you for sharing some of your wisdom with us. Take care.